The world is a labyrinth of unspoken fears and unseen dangers, where the lines between reality and madness are constantly blurred. Every moment is a delicate balance between wonder and dread as the universe unfurls its secrets. And yet, it is in this very darkness that we find the beauty of the unknown, the thrill of the unexplored, and the resilience of the human spirit. Welcome to Wicked World. Today's story is a reminder that we still know very little of this world that we desperately try to understand. Dead Mountain. In 1959, a group of 10 ambitious hikers embarked on a rigorous 190-mile journey through the Ural Mountains in the northern part of the Soviet Union. This expedition wasn't just a recreational trek, but a mission of professional significance. The group aimed to earn the prestigious Level 3 hiker certification, the highest distinction for hikers in the Soviet Union at the time. Achieving this accolade would establish them as elite adventurers in the country. The group, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, was composed of experienced hikers, most of whom were students or graduates of Ural Polytechnical Institute. They meticulously planned their route and gathered the necessary supplies to survive the brutal winter conditions. Spirits were high when the group set off on January 25, 1959, ready to tackle the challenging 16-day trek. Initially, the hikers followed their planned route without incident. Photographs and diary entries recovered later showed the group smiling and enjoying the camaraderie of their adventure. Everything seemed to be proceeding as planned. However, as they approached a crucial part of their journey, a mountain pass, the situation took a tragic turn. This area, later renamed Dyatlov Pass in honor of the group's leader, became the site of one of history's most perplexing mysteries. As they neared the pass, the hikers encountered severe weather conditions. Snowstorms and strong winds disoriented them, forcing them off course. Instead of reaching their intended destination, they ended up on the slopes of a mountain known to the local Mansi tribe as Kolatsiakal, meaning Dead Mountain. Faced with deteriorating conditions and knowing they were off course, the hikers made a puzzling decision. Rather than retreating to the forested area below, which would have offered some shelter from the elements, they chose to set up camp out in the open on the exposed slope of Dead Mountain. This choice subjected them to extreme conditions, including howling winds, temperatures as low as -40 degrees Celsius, -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and the threat of avalanches. While the exact reasoning behind this decision remains unclear, some speculate that Dyatlov may have wanted to practice camping in harsh conditions as part of their certification requirements. Others suggest they might have hoped to wait out the storm and continue their journey the next day. When the group failed to arrive at their scheduled rendezvous point, no immediate alarm was raised. Delays were not uncommon in such treks, especially given the unpredictable weather. However, as days turned into weeks without any communication from the hikers, concern grew. Families and friends pressed authorities to act, and on February 20th, a search and rescue operation was launched, involving volunteers, police, and military personnel. Searchers eventually located the group's campsite on February 26th, nearly a month after they were last heard from. What they found was chilling and baffling. The hiker's tent was discovered on the slope, partially buried in snow. It had been slashed open from the inside, as if the occupants had fled in a panic. Inside the tent were personal belongings like clothes, jackets, boots, and cold weather gear neatly arranged, indicating the group left in haste without properly dressing for the freezing temperatures. A trail of footprints led away from the tent toward a nearby forest, about 1 mile, 1.5 kilometers downhill. The footprints suggested the hikers had walked calmly rather than running, despite the dire conditions. Many of them appeared to be barefoot or wearing only socks, while others just had a single shoe on. Investigators followed the footprints to the forest's edge, where they discovered the first two bodies near a cedar tree. These men were dressed only in their underwear, barefoot, and lying beside the remnants of a makeshift campfire. The palms of their hands had been badly scraped, the bark on the cedar tree was torn, and its branches were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting that one or both men had desperately attempted to climb it, possibly to escape something. A few hundred meters away, 3 more bodies were found, including Dyatlov's. These individuals seemed to have been trying to return to the campsite, but had succumbed to the cold. Their positioning indicated desperation, and one of them bore a peculiar head injury consistent with repeated blunt force trauma. It seemed as if someone had smashed the hiker's head repeatedly. Another had a strange rectangular bruise on their side. At this stage, the deaths were attributed to hypothermia, and the unusual injuries were considered incidental. However, the discovery of the remaining 4 hikers 2 months later, once the snow had melted a little, added a sinister twist to the story. The last 4 bodies were located in a ravine about 246 feet, 75 meters from the cedar tree, buried under 13 feet of snow. This area, nicknamed the Dyatlov Den, appeared to be an improvised shelter constructed by the group. The condition of these bodies shocked investigators. One hiker had just died from hypothermia. The second hiker had a fatal skull fracture. The third hiker had a severe chest injury, likened to the impact of a car crash. The fourth hiker, a woman, was in the worst condition. She was missing her tongue, eyes, and parts of her lips. Her chest was also crushed, and a piece of her skull was removed. Adding to the mystery, traces of radiation were detected on some of the hikers' clothing, and the makeshift shelter indicated that the group had scavenged clothing from the deceased to survive. As if one would die and the second would take their clothes, and once the second would die, the third would take their clothes. Over the decades, numerous theories have emerged to explain the Dyatlov Pass Incident. Some of the most notable theories are a sudden avalanche could have forced the group to flee their tent in panic. However, the lack of typical avalanche debris and historical evidence of avalanches in the area weakens this theory. Another theory is paradoxical undressing. This phenomenon occurs when hypothermia victims remove their clothing due to a false sensation of overheating. While it might explain some of the underdressed hikers, it doesn't account for their injuries. Another crazy theory is military testing. Some suggest the group inadvertently wandered into a secret Soviet military testing area and were exposed to weaponry or radioactive materials. Because of the unfathomable injuries, another theory states that it was a Yeti or animal attack. While intriguing, there is no concrete evidence of animal tracks or predation. Some theorize that here were UFOs or paranormal activity. A few enthusiasts have posited alien involvement or supernatural forces as explanations for their unusual circumstances. And last theory is of an infrasound. A less conventional theory involves infrasound, a type of low-frequency sound that can induce feelings of fear and disorientation, possibly causing the hikers to panic and flee. The Soviet investigation concluded in 1959 with the vague explanation that the hikers succumbed to a compelling natural force. The case was closed, leaving many questions unanswered. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation, but limited their scope to natural explanations such as avalanches or extreme weather. Once again, they concluded that natural forces were to blame, without offering a definitive cause. The Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the 20th century's most haunting mysteries. Despite decades of speculation, no single theory fully explains the bizarre circumstances of the hikers' deaths. To this day, the story fascinates and chills those who seek to unravel its secrets, solidifying its place as one of history's most enduring enigmas. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's mystery, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more contents like this.